Hi, everybody. Yes, hold on. Happy Friday. I'm now going to stream live in Facebook, so I have no more drama with my easy songs being picked up by the owners, which is fine. Here with you are, well, hey, what is your Christmas hat? You put the Coliving hat on your Christmas hat. Oh, you have it on?
I love the Christmas hat.
Here with two very special guests today. I am Clara Javer, the host of Coliving Cash Flow. There you go, Christmas special.
And I'm one of Santa's elves.
For sure. Gran chisma of what you want to Living Smith
Yeah.
in Colorado visiting us, and the one and only thank you. This my Christmas gift is being with you, Mario Richard from Rooftop Coliving. And as I always start every class forever and ever until the end of times, you all know what I'm gonna say. What are the three C's of Coliving? If you have a co-living business, you need this perfect triad between cost, between community, and between convenience. I know all about there is to know about cost. Here is the all know about community and convenience and marketing and how to have the perfect product. So you're not gonna hear from me today enough about me, but today is all about our guests and how they both have nailed, even in different markets, their co-living products. Shall we? So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Phenomenal. Mario is here in Boston. Boston has more co-living than you would imagine. We were doing a tour of what is we call triple deckers in Wood. This is all new for you. The decker.
Triple decker. Did I do it well?
Yeah.
Triple
exactly.
decker.
Yeah, correct.
Triplex in the rest of the country.
All right. And Mario has been in this co-living business for what, 10 years now?
For 10 years.
10 years now. And he's gonna talk about how to keep occupancy and what is for him, what is convenience and how he keep his product consistent and his units occupied. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Have the mic. Go for it.
So, I mean, it's a pretty broad subject, but our strategy has been to invest heavily in the product and in the product quality. So when we look at a property, our renovation scope tends to be fairly large. We're adding a lot of private bathrooms, which are very expensive, and we're doing it all as part of a brand. And that brand has a brand promise, and that promise is it's affordable and flexible. And so to us, if it's affordable and it's flexible and it's easy, those would be the three pillars, then we think that we're checking the box for our particular market. So our market in Boston is a lot different from other markets. We have a lot of people who are coming in internationally, which has obviously been a challenge this year. We have a lot of young professionals that are here looking for their own place to live. Boston is, I believe, the second most expensive market in the country to rent a one-bedroom apartment. And for a lot of people, it's unaffordable. So at an average one-bedroom rent of $3,000 a month, plus, when you have to pay first, last security broker, then you have to furnish it and get it up and running. It's a really heavy lift for someone that's coming here for 18 months or for 2 years or for 6 months or 9 months. And so we've got a offering for them that makes that all much more affordable and much easier than they would otherwise have access to. It's just that expensive to get your place here in Boston, whereas we're providing them with an affordable option that hopefully keeps more people in the city.
I think this is an interesting question to ask. So when you identify a property, right, what are the data points that are going to predict that this property is going to click the box for your brand and for your performance?
Well, for rent, I mean, we're looking at what the options are in the market. I mean, rent is a function of what the market is. So you can check, okay, what does a one-bedroom cost to rent? What does a studio cost to rent? And that rent is obviously a function of what neighborhood you want to be in. So forecasting rent it's a bit of a science, but it's also a bit of an art too. There has to be a leap of faith at some point when you look at what can we get for a bedroom in a shared apartment. Those are the data points that we're looking at, and then we have to take a leap of faith and hope that we hit our numbers and also include a margin of safety, because we can be wrong. So if we don't have any margin of safety, we can get ourselves into a jam. So it's important. And in doing all that makes it really hard to actually find properties to develop. I mean, we are literally looking for needles in a haystack here because the cost of property is so high. The rents are, this year in particular, rents are very soft in Boston. It is a renter's market. It hasn't been like this in a very long time. And quite frankly, it could continue for a very long time.
It's okay, we put your brand on the website.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to share the screen of his brand for you to browse and check it out. We love it. It's very consistent. It's to be very similar to mine, but I take the honor. And all right, continue. Second, I have a different question for you.
Sure,
now.
go ahead.
What brand elements of when you put units in your website, you feel that help you with the retention and bringing the client that you want for your product?
On our website?
Yeah, like when you have your, this is rooftop, this is, our house, this is how we offer.
I mean, I'm not sure that the website is really what's helping us to create retention. I mean, it's really a function of the service that we're providing and the quality of the living experience. If that starts to slip, then our retention is going to slip. And if we're doing a good job, then our retention is going to go up. And that's sort of the way we're thinking about it.
And when you started with the company, back in the day, what had you learned from your resident expectation from before to now? How the resident expectations change over time, evolve over time, or are the same?
I think that it definitely has evolved, and I think people are looking for a more high quality, all-inclusive experience than when we originally started. We didn't know. We weren't positioned the way we are now when we originally started. We didn't do any private bathrooms. We had pretty basic offering, and we kind of stumbled into this whole thing by accident. We developed a small property in one of the Boston neighborhoods, and we couldn't fill it at the rents that we needed to. It was the first project we'd done. I didn't come from the real estate business. I came from the travel business. So I sort of looked at the options, and someone had said to me, hey, why don't you try co-living? And I didn't know what co-living was. So I did a little bit of investigating. I saw it was a new trend that was starting to bubble up in places like New York and San Francisco, which are traditionally very tough, tight rental markets. And so decided to take a chance on it. And we furnished it, and we were able to achieve the rents that we needed in order to make the project successful. And then we just kind of did the next one and the next one and the next one. And then eventually it's like, hey, we should actually create a brand. And
yes.
And so we built a brand, and we're very protective of the brand. So, having happy tenants, because when tenants, and we don't call them tenants, we call them residents.
Yeah.
We call them customers. We don't use the word tenants.
Yep.
And we don't use the word landlord. We use the word property manager. And so we are providing a service. And so when you're being entrusted to provide someone with housing, which is the biggest part of their monthly expense budget, that's a pretty big responsibility. So treating them like customers, being responsive, not nickel and diming them for little things, and just looking at it as a cost of business is how we operate. So we don't collect security deposits, as an example. Now, people say, well, don't you have damage in the apartments? Don't people? Yes, some do, not as many as you think. And so what do? We just eat it. It's a cost of doing business. And that removes one of the most high friction issues when people rent an apartment, is getting, hammered on the way out with nonsense charges because you put a hole in the wall because you hung a picture after you were there for 2 years. It's just distasteful. So we don't do it. And we have we've kind of got it baked into our operating model that we just deal with it.
When you started, I mean, in a way you started kind of by accident, we can say that. Which is when you go now, what is that you measure first when you retain tenants? Which marketing channels were you using when you started, and what marketing channels are you using now? And just to interrupt here, in Boston, and for all the years that Mario and we all have been doing this business, there has not been padsplit. So I know many of you come from the padsplit universe. There is if any market, padsplit is just starting into this market. So we have used many other marketing channels to get adoption of a retain of clients. So what have you used?
I mean, when we started, the biggest channel we had was Craigslist. It was. That's where we would get all of our residents would be off of Craigslist.
It was the 7th most visited site. Yeah.
That was the holy grail. Now it's word of mouth and referral by far. Like it's not even close.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, we do, we try other channels like Zillow and apartments.com, and we run some Google ads, but it's all very expensive. So the best return is getting someone to refer you. That's the least expensive marketing channel and the most effective, because those residents convert at a high level. When those leads come in, it's like, well, someone told me, and they don't have to worry about, is this a scam? Is this legit? Is this really, am I going to get what they say I'm going to get? And that is kind of what we focus on. So it's a pretty holistic approach of just focusing on the customer, making the living experience as good as we can, and then hoping that people will tell their friends when we have spots available. And so far, that's worked out well. But yeah, keeping these homes full is the most important and most challenging piece of the entire puzzle. And especially, again, every market is different, but this is the first time that I've seen the Boston market be soft and challenging.
Yeah.
Right. Landlords, property owners are having a hard time keeping their units full this year. Right. And that hasn't happened before.
Historically, no. And many co-living investors or investors that are entering the co-living world have a lot of misconceptions about this market. And this is actually a business. You have to work on the business. What misconceptions you have heard most generally for investors that want to enter the co-living industry, or that you have heard from your peers about co-living?
Well, I think that, one of the misconceptions is that that it's easy to get financing for acquiring and renovating these properties. It's not easy to get financing. If you don't have a track record and you're coming in cold, it's tough to get a bank to want to back you. It's tough to get investors to want to invest in your projects if you don't have a track record. Getting started is hard. So finding a good partner to get started is absolutely key. And finding one strong financial partner in particular who's going to back you is key if you don't have the resources to do it on your own. Our first 3 properties we paid cash for the property and the renovations. I was in a position to do that, which was fortunate, but and then afterwards, once they're stabilized and done, the bank is like, oh, this looks good. And so they're happy to provide financing.
Yes.
And, so over time you build a reputation, but it's a slow burn. This isn't get rich quick. This is get rich slow. And if somebody thinks that co-living is like a get rich quick strategy, I think they're going to be in for a very, very big disappointment, especially in a market like we're in Boston. Mm-hmm. It is very tedious. It is very slow. 10 years is a long time. Everyone's like, wow, this is a great business. Like, 10 years, right? It's been a long road, but we stuck with it, and we've made some good moves. So I'm grateful that it's panned out. We got a lot of great reviews. If you go to our website, you can see that people are really happy with the service they're providing. And if we get a bad review, I'm on the phone with that person to find out what went wrong and what we can do to make it right.
Yeah, Mauro, you're absolutely right with financing. You were bringing this up earlier, and I said, I had a bank in Cherry Creek, Denver. I went into in 2017. They just laughed at me. I was like, but you can do a portfolio loan, right? And look, it's going to make all of this money. And they just laughed at me, and that's where it ended. So I found somebody who had strong finances, and then it's a big deal. Yeah.
Once you have a track record in relationships, it's okay, but it takes a while to get there, and you have to be patient and humble.
Correct. And know how to do numbers. We'll do the numbers, but how to build something long lasting right here. Okay, so Mario has a lot of 3 families here. We'll do questions at the end. How about that? Before doing that, is there anything you wish you have done differently in the last 10 years in your business?
Yeah, I wish I bought a lot more buildings 5 to 7 years ago when they were half the price and interest rates were under 4%. But, again, we grew methodically. We grew in a controlled way. And so I'm quite happy with the portfolio as to where it is now. I wish we had done a lot more investing in marketing and brand earlier. Like we just launched, a couple months ago on social. And so We probably should have done that a long time ago, because the biggest problem that we had, and it's not so much now, but is people didn't think that what we were offering was real.
It's too good to be true.
It's too good to be true. This has to be a scam, because there's a lot of rental scams.
Yeah.
And but we don't have that as much now. So I think we've made some headway.
Mario is asking, please, everybody to follow Rooftop in Instagram, or he will hang me from a tree. Please
yes, follow us, Rooftop Co-Living. I'm supposed to get more. We're supposed to get more followers. We just launched a couple months ago, and our content is actually pretty good.
It is actually good. I saw a couple of very good. Man, thank you.
we've got a good.
Yeah, I want to underline that, because it's when you've been around long enough. Like I get to actually visit people's places, or they'll tell me about their back office, and I've very few people that, like my Mario from his organization, his SOP, Tech Stacks, and then his team. We just met Hunter, I mean your GC and Plumber, and I mean that this is there's a lot of people who talk a good talk, and that's great because we want to put our best foot forward. But for me, anything I hear Mario, when I hear you say it, I know it's probably that, or maybe even a little bit better, because you have that humility. You don't want to overstate things. Like Mario just puts his foot forward, not his best foot, not his, and so really do check that out, because if you want to be successful in co-living, you can be successful. You want to model people who are successful. And that's it's really cool to see your properties today.
I appreciate that. It's all about relationships. Okay. We've had the same plumber for 10 years. We've had the same HVAC guy for 10 years. We've had 2 general contractors in 10 years. I've had 1 project manager in 10 years. I've had 1 designer in 10 years. Does that mean they're perfect? No. Does that mean they don't screw up? No. But it's about long-term relationships. And when you have long-term relationships and you grit your teeth when things go sideways and work through it, then you come out stronger on the other side. And so, I care about these guys. I want to, be good to them. They're good to me, and I'm fair with them. They're fair with me. And, again, they're not perfect, but it's better than vendor jumping all the time.
Yeah.
And then being part of that is having some humility. Because if you get into this business because you want to tell everyone how cool you are and how many properties you own, you're probably going to blow your brains out, because you're going to make some really bad decisions.
That's for sure. Yes,
my wife's from Western New York, and those huge statements, I can see why she likes to listen to you talk. Blow my brains out. Yeah.
Thank you, Mario. Don't go anywhere. Now let's talk about the convenience of our excellent product. And when you go to Mario's website, which I'm streaming right now, which I'm sharing, you can see the quality of his product and what he offers, and what price points are different from every market. But that's a perfect example of a really good community and co-living product. So now to the different part, we're gonna shift to the community conversation and how community is created between a household, like what you call a household. It's not co-living houses or padsplits, or a household, and how you all begin doing that, and what is that you found, this is what is going to stick. Too many questions.
Well, I like how you put it. So out here, so the only other time I'd been in Boston was simply the airport, which doesn't count. And so out here, I've wanted to learn. Whenever I've been teaching people, I've said, but what I deal with is detached houses, or people say single family houses. Mm-hmm. And that's a very different story from what you guys are in. I mean, even our houses in Denver, right, or in Jacksonville, they're houses. There's not these triple decker. There's so like with a household, and how does it operate for the people who share that roof, like who they are and how they live together. That's what I love. But as far as your bottom line, one question, I'll try not to be a jabbermouth.
Okay. How do you find out what did work in one property when you put all your residents together?
How did I find out what worked?
Yeah, because I went to one of your properties and you have, the board with the things and the nail and the chore list.
Yeah. Here
we say that you have to do chores. The Lord is mad at us. What are you talking about? But for you, it works flawlessly.
Yeah. So there's I would say there's 3 parts of this. Mm-hmm. this is what I love, by the way, about co-living and you having us both here is because people always say it matters what market you're at, right? And this is a case of point. I can't say what works in Boston. I'm not, right? But I can say so. For when you have a chore board, what it communicates is there's chores, and that people filter out when they see a chore board. They will say, I don't want to do that, and they come out. The other one is there's people who see that and they say, oh, I love that. I love the idea that I'm not going to be the only one cleaning. And what I find in properties is that when people clean when once every 8 weeks you need to vacuum the living room, that really people get that pride of ownership. So it's having people do chores rather than hiring a cleaner is not I want to save money. It's like, how do we look out best for the property? And so yeah, to say is people are always shocked. Whoa, you talk people into doing chores. It's like, no, this is a very specific decision. And I think it's what makes the property's bottom line much higher. I think it improves our retention, everything.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's insane because it works. I mean, all the core of your properties, I say work. And something that you have magically also ironed out is the 515 and the conflict resolution method. Do you mind sharing with the audience, especially the audience that didn't get to learn from that method in the conference? What is the method about?
The main metric, huh?
The method of conflict resolution.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so to separate the idea of household from property management,
yes.
How I look at it is property management. You have tenants, you have maintenance requests, yes. You have normal maintenance like the HVAC needs to be, serviced in the fall or the spring to get ready for the summer, depending where you're at, right? You have to have those things. When you have a co-living household, like when you have multiple people sharing common space, they're not just sharing a hall in say a triplex. Now you have a household. So to give them a household doesn't need much. Actually, the biggest mistake people do, I find in co-living, is they meddle too much. They don't want to. They want to manage the household. No, manage the property, be a property manager, but support the household. And so the 5-on-5, something we do, which was a very big departure from what else is out there. For instance, say a 24-hour hotline where two people get in a conflict, they can call somebody up at 2 a.m. across the country and have that person try to solve their problem, right? I'm glad I didn't work for that call center. But but to say what a 5-on-5 is it says, hey, conflict is not the problem. Having conflict that people solve, that's what bonds people together. So now they have a trust and appreciation for their household. And they usually don't find that a lot of places, so they want to stay around. So the 5-on-5 is a painfully simple process. The property management, we have nothing to do with it until it gets to the fourth step. And that happens, maybe less than like 5% of the time. It's very little. And my wife's on this call, but we actually will use the 5-on-5 in our marriage because it's really just healthy communication that's controlled so that if there is a problem, that a household can protect itself from a bad apple. And then when it gets to a certain point, the property manager removes that person. But yeah, the 5-on-5 is simply something that we say, hey, the household, every person in their lease has committed to do this. And if anybody reaches out to try to tattle on somebody to us, we say, do the 5-on-5 like you've agreed to. And when you get to step 4, then we'll talk. Otherwise, it is none of our business. And that's a really big deal.
Oh, so in your lease, you put the communication conflict solving as well. And the chores part is part of the lease.
Yes, we have a part of our lease called the household covenant.
Okay.
And that is something where everybody has agreed to use the 5-on-5. So if we were all sharing a co-living house, what's really nice is that I know if Clara has a problem, she's agreed to talk to me about it first. Mm-hmm. And so it fosters respect. A lot of she doesn't.
What if it doesn't go well?
Yeah.
So then what do you, how does it escalate?
Yeah. So it's so short and simple, which by the way, anything in households and anything, if it's not simple, it's not going to happen. But the 5-on-5 is this. Say we have a problem with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 10-minute conversation. She sets her cell phone. She gets to talk for 5 minutes. I have to listen. I can't say anything. I can't ask any questions, nothing. But when that alarm goes off, you have to stop. And it's actually shocking how it's hard to fill up 5 minutes.
But who facilitates that? Do you
Nobody.
guys?
No,
So
nobody.
what makes you think they'll actually do it?
So, well, one is if they don't do it, they get kicked out.
Oh,
Without a doubt. Yeah. If somebody is not following the 5-on-5, it is immediate grounds for
how do you kick them out? Like
eviction or lease down renewal.
for that reason?
Yep.
Because here in
Absolutely.
the People's Republic of Massachusetts, that would not fly.
Yeah, we state the lease violations that they have, and
Wow.
and that's a big one. Now, to state, many people, if they once they know there's bite behind the bark of the 5-on-5, they actually will do it. Like when you reach out to your property manager and you say this person's breaking the lease here and there, and the property manager says, listen, that's none of my business. What I know right now is that you're not following the lease by not using the 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And we just, I mean, we're not mean, we're just firm, and we respect the privacy of that household. You have to let a household make its own mistakes. And at the same time, there's the property management guardrails, documentation, all of that stuff, that if there's a bad apple, a person's got to go. At the same time, everybody, even like we say, our houses work for all responsible and reasonable people. And responsible, reasonable people are going to have conflict, and they just need an agreed upon way to resolve it.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
that's great.
That's cool.
How do you know when a house or a household or a property of you is healthy, like the community is healthy and well run, versus one that has like a minor inner conflicts always going on? Do you measure that? Is a way for you to find that out, or like you don't care? You're not meddle on that.
The number one measurement is we have a metric called maturity. The closest thing in real estate, people say, is tenancy. How long is your average tenancy? This is similar, but we look at in a single house, what is the average tenancy of those people in the house? So for instance, if a house is just starting, they're going to take about 2 times as much work when that house is their maturity. That house is 12 months, less than 12 months. But once it hits that 12 months mark, definitely 18 months. So when a house's maturity improves, it just runs itself. And that's a really big deal. But allowing it to make its mistakes, to like mind your own business, to do your job as the property manager. But that's the number one metric is each house has a maturity level.
But you also don't provide cleaning services.
No.
You give the cleaning supplies and they just go clean, right?
Right.
How does that work?
How does it work?
Yeah, like how do you do that at scale?
So we have
You don't provide cleaning services?
no.
Oh, so we provide a cleaning service that comes in every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
They
no,
clean kitchens, bathrooms, and common areas.
nope, zero.
Interesting.
Not even landscape, right? You don't do
No.
landscape.
No, inside, outside.
We're in Boston. There's no landscape.
Right. So I will say, so we have looked at, so once a year we will any carpets, we'll have the carpets cleaned.
Okay.
I have looked at, hey, maybe once a year we would do, say, pay for deep cleaning. But we walk the properties, the houses each month, about every 4 to 5 weeks. So, and we've never needed that deep clean. Like people in the house, like it's weird to say, but some people, I mean, when we're honest, there's at least 50% of people who are like, I really like sometimes just cleaning the shit out of something. And now, so everybody has to do their chores, and there's always some guy usually in the house who really wants to mow the lawn. They really want to. One time I was in a house,
And you provide a lawnmower, right? So
and there's a
Yeah.
lawnmower, and it's an electric
Wow.
lawnmower, so we don't have to mess with gas and oil. But if say usually somebody hates one chore, and there's usually somebody else in the house that's like, great, I will trade you. We don't manage that. We give them the chore board. We say you're responsible for whatever yours is, and they can trade. They can pay each other to do the chore. One time they might miss it. That's not a big deal, because in a household you don't need to be perfect, right? Actually, all of us are gonna,
But what if someone's belligerent and they don't want to do their chores?
So then it would be 5-on-5.
Ooh.
And it would get to so I'd mentioned Clara and I, she gets to talk 5 minutes, then now I get to talk 5 minutes. If one of us isn't happy, then we schedule that one more time, and it has to wait a night, because it's good to sleep on things, but it has to happen within 3 days of that. And so then we have another one. If one of us isn't happy, we only do this one more time, and we would bring in somebody else from in the house, another housemate. And you don't solve our problem just after we have a 10-minute conversation or a 5-minute conversation. You get to talk for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. At that point, if there's a stalemate, if one of us is not happy, the household supporter, the property manager, gets contacted, and she, we have all women right now, but she or he is going to immediately like evict or non-renew somebody's lease. And so really, if there's a problem, which there will always be problems, right? It is a 10-minute or less conversation, 10-minute or less conversation, 15-minute or less conversation. All can happen within 3 days, and then lease eviction or lease eviction or not.
So you better solve better your app.
Yeah, and that's really and so, because in a household you need to be able to make mistakes. You need to be able to, like, if Clara came up with a problem and I was like, that's really right, I need to buck up and change. Mm-hmm. That's great. I mean, it's I lived these systems. I didn't make up the 5-on-5. I got it from a place called Sunflower Co-op in Austin. They didn't get it. They got it from a peer-to-peer counseling book written a long time ago. But it needs to be a place where you can have that conversation, and at the same time, if somebody's being belligerent, if somebody has a problem, house members, they can't kick somebody out. That's when they need to be able to appeal to the property manager to say, sorry, you're out. So
you've been doing this for what, 10 years now?
Like in 2017 was our first property. I've been managing in co-living property since 2000.
What has the biggest lesson, or what that changed the most during this time? What is more surprising for you from when you started to now?
Yeah. So, okay, this is what is most surprising to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
Is I have been surprised at co-living operators not valuing what I would say is not valuing residents' privacy and their security. And so for instance, examples of this, having cameras inside the house. And I'm very open to being wrong, but this is not a vacation rental. This is not a halfway house, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is where people live in a living room. Like, they need their privacy.
Yeah, that sounds insane to me, that you would put cameras inside of a
home. And so I'm not going to say like, hey, that's morally good or bad. I'm saying that is very much a surprise to me. And to me, it's something where if in a household, in a home, you need to feel your privacy is respected.
100%.
The second thing is a little bit more. I'm still like taking it as lots of us will have the coded front doors, right?
Yeah.
But the idea, and this happens. I hear no one talk about it, but like I said, I get invited in kind of the back office. Is this happens a lot more than anybody wants to say? Is because of everything going on in speed and stuff, basically, a front door entryway that people don't have use. There's one code, and that code hasn't been changed for multiple years. So anybody who has ever lived in that property and moved out, been evicted, can gain access to that property immediately. And to me, that is an implied, like, it's a fiduciary, it's a sacred trust that us as managers who control those keys or access codes, and the reason it happens, I mean, nobody likes it. The reason it happens is we get busy. There's so much happening.
Well, but that's about having a system. So, I mean, we have a system where when a resident moves out, their codes get revoked when they move, and that's all their codes. So they have no access to the property. When someone moves in, they get codes that are unique to them. So if you don't have a system, if you're sort of trying to save money, have a system where it's not that easy to do, you're going to have security risk where people are going to be able to access a property that no longer live there, or give those codes to someone else who may have a bad intent to be able to access the property. So I think that's definitely a function of how responsible the management is.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people are looking at what's the hottest thing to edge. How can I have really impressive co-living systems? But I think the really big thing is like as a business, just run your business like a business. Like no matter what, like if the batteries need to be replaced in the front door, go replace those batteries or hire somebody immediately. Like, but that's the one that has been surprising because to me, that was always a baseline. Besides that, I would say everything to me is very exciting because now people they realize that co-living is awesome. You know, say because I was talking about before we had to try to convince people it's awesome. Now
we had 40 people on Zoom, and I don't know how many people we have watching Facebook Live. This is awesome. Two more questions. Yeah, two more questions before we wrap up this part and open for questions. In all your time, what is the biggest lesson that you learned that wish new people that are coming should know?
Yeah,
the biggest lesson so far.
Yeah. So this is. That the myth, there's a myth, and I will back it up, and is that you pick between balancing your net profit, your bottom line, and the what you sacrifice of that to have, like, say, a healthy household. Say it's events, say it's this or that or this. To me, every time, whatever is best for your bottom line is best for your residents.
I like that.
And so say we'll provide, we'll have a nearby restaurant drop off a Thanksgiving dinner. We don't, it's weird because Mario is just like, we've never had any events, but that's just something like, I don't know if it's culturally or what, but it's just like, hey, here's this stuff. They have to decide when the dinner is, they have to do it all. Right. But if we do that, our bottom line increases. So I would say a real big thing is if you're looking at nickel and diming, I guess it comes back to this is then you're not actually caring about your bottom line. Like looking out for your households and your residents is also the thing that makes you the most money, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really about the function of whether or not you're thinking about things short term or you're thinking about things long term.
Right.
We could certainly make a lot more money if we ripped a lot of services out and said, hey, we're not doing this or that anymore. And in the short term, our profits would increase. But long term, we would have less retention. We would have less happy customers. We'd have bad reviews. It would be a downward trajectory. And so I think it's really just, real estate is playing the long game. And taking care of your customers is going to pay off in a lot of ways long term. And so taking that mentality is absolutely critical.
And culturally, something I'm learning so much out here is like, if I was doing things in Boston, I would really bet I would hire cleaners, right? Because culturally, what do people like? What is serving the residents? You know, where I'm at, it's actually, if you provide less, they take more pride of ownership. Like the mowing the yard for a lot of people makes you feel like, oh, I'm like a part of this thing. But so also this whole thing of like, depending on where you're at and culturally, what creates a home where people want to stay there? They love that place. I mean, like Mario's doing it, like 100% occupancy. That's
baller.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Before we open for questions, where do you see co-living going? It's end of 2025. Where do you see co-living going if we are sitting here in December 2030?
Go ahead, Grant. You want to take that? Or I can take. Okay. Well, I can.
No. It's all.
Yeah.
It's all
I think it's pretty clear there that the trajectory is that housing is becoming less affordable. That it's harder for people to be able to afford their own place for single-person households, and I'm seeing legislation pop up in different municipalities, not in Massachusetts, but outside of Massachusetts, where co-living is becoming much more accepted as a viable alternative. If you turn the clock back, SROs used to be the way people lived in new places. There's just, and SROs are single room occupancy properties. And for a lot of reasons, they became out of favor, but it's pretty clear that sharing a home, it's a time-tested principle for making homes affordable. So we have properties in Boston, they're mostly 100 years plus old. And when we see them, you'll go up to the second floor and third floor of a property, and there's like 3 doors to get into the same apartment. And it's like, well, why are there 3 doors? It's because people had boarders,
Right.
because that's how people could afford to live, both on their own and how to be able to afford to live in a household. And that seems to be coming a bit more full circle, but for us, it's a more upgraded experience. We're trying to provide a more upgraded experience and really take all the friction we can out of roommate living, from personal climate control to personal food storage to just having your own space, putting a TV in your bedroom if that's what you want to do, and really just making sure that everybody can live harmoniously. Cleaning obviously takes friction out, right? Every apartment we have has laundry either in unit or in the building free, right? We don't, I find it super distasteful that, people rent an apartment. I mean, it happens, I don't know in other places, but I know it happens a lot in Boston, where people are paying thousands of dollars a month in rent, and they have to have like a coin-op laundry. I just think it's so silly.
Yeah.
Like, just bake it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So
how about you? 5 years from
5
now?
years from now.
December 2030. Whatever.
Yeah. So I'm going to steal what you and I have been talking about. I think in the larger scene, there's going to be mergers and acquisitions. There's right now, I don't think there's been a category king of co-living, and there's a lot of subcategories within co-living. But to say is there's going to be a lot of kind of shaking out as this becomes, like Mario mentioned, coming full circle. And this type of living is really just, it's not new. It's just now part of the norm. And so I'm really interested to see how that is. I also really hope that we start to develop our language more, like with terminology. Me coming out here and seeing how y'all do stuff, it's like, oh, like, how do we communicate these differences? So when we're helping each other learn and talking about how to be successful with co-living, that when I say this, right, everybody thinks this, where, I mean, I just learned triple decker, and how all of this is, so just to say in the next 5-10 years, I think that we'll develop a lot more terms and how to effectively communicate and help each other as investors.
I think the real tipping point, though, is going to come when there's institutional capital that starts looking at making investments in this segment. Yeah. And the easiest analog to look at is the single family home rental market. The SFR market didn't exist prior to the global financial crisis, 2010, 11, 12. It wasn't a thing. And then all of a sudden, there's all these single family homes that were being taken back by banks. Someone had to do something with them. Institutional capital saw an opportunity to come in, earn a decent return, and put a lot of money to work, and it institutionalized that segment of the market. Now, whether or not think that's good or bad doesn't really matter, but it's a fact that it's an institutional asset class now. Co-living is still sort of like, what is this again? But it's becoming more and more popular, and as more places start adopting legislation, like Seattle has, like Oregon's talking about it, New York City is talking about it, it is going to become, it's going to get the attention of people who have very large checkbooks, and then it'll make it into the mainstream. Yeah. So I think being early is a benefit, because the valuations will shoot up dramatically, I think, long term. But you have to be patient.
Yeah, the people who are getting in now have the get rich slow schemes to run their business like a business. Now is when, like, the winners are getting in. And once those things kind of start happening, it's gonna be a lot more challenging to get in and win as much.
True, that's also true. So okay, we're gonna have time for like 3 more questions, and I'm gonna drop 2 links on the comments. One, if you want to enter my coaching program that starts January, I'm giving a 15-minute interview now. So not for this week, for next week, sorry. Book 15 minutes with me if you are serious about starting your co-living business in 2026. And if you're serious about planning your co-living business in 2026, there is a different link. Tomorrow I'm giving a workshop about co-living business building planning that comes with a planner. And my assistant is going to drop the links below. So you have 2 hours of digging into the cost part of co-living, and then we'll talk about the rest. Okay, now I'm going to see who's raising their hands for some questions on the audience. 1, 2, raise your hands, please, if you have a question. So I can read from the comments.
Oh, I see. Like, I'm not talking about hands raising, but like
30
Troy and Esther, and there's.
Let's go. Happy Friday. Hello to everybody. Take care of people. Yes, I know. Hi. Does Mario have? Yes. How many rooms is he able to put over a typical 3-family house and typical room? That is Mario and Rustov. Thank you, Sheila. Household accountability. Yes, Sarah. Barriers charge on houses. Yes. Cameras in common areas allows to see where members keep leaving pants in the stove. That's important. Carolina, you want to talk about that? Hence the need for cameras. Yeah, don't burn your place. And okay, Grant, what's your thoughts on passplit? Do you think they will labor on their own homes, or they will asset light like Airbnb? And then we can talk about ADUs. All right. What are your thoughts on passplit?
Are they ever going to own homes? I've
so.
never in my conversations with like Cliff, you know, Q, I've never heard this spoken about. But that being said, padsplit operates at a level that that is not. I mean, it's not even where I'm at. So that's going to be an interesting question.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you have one more question, please raise your hand in Zoom. Like usually we'll raise your hand so we can read it. It's hard for me to read it from here. Hold on, one more in the comments. What are your thoughts on ADUs for properties that were allowed, where co-living is allowed? Mario, because you have someone from Massachusetts asking that question.
What are my thoughts on ADUs?
Yeah, using ADUs for co-living.
There's certainly an opportunity to add more living space within the zoning code. I know in Boston, it's a very difficult process, and they're looking at trying to figure out how to simplify it a bit, but it's super, super onerous, and it's only for owner occupants. So adding it for co-living, I don't know if that's really going to be an effective strategy. Maybe in markets outside of Boston where it's a little bit less friction in trying to add that kind of space, but I don't see that as a big solution in the present form in the Boston market.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, do you have any thoughts on that? I feel like you answering that padsplit question would be a better one.
I'm quite convinced that padsplit is not going to be pursuing a strategy where they're going to be buying assets. Padsplit is a marketplace. They are focused on providing a marketplace-like experience. That's their business model, and their business model, you can call it asset light. I don't really like the terms asset light, asset heavy. Their business model is to enable the connection between owners and renters and facilitate the leasing process along with technology for certain management capability. That's the way I see it. And I think that they're smart people, and I think they will be successful long term. They've certainly built up a strong presence on the market.
Right.
If someone were to enter co-living, buying the first property January 2026, what's one thing you will tell them? One thing.
I would tell them that I'll tell them what I told you guys earlier. There's only 2 things you can't change about a property: the location and the price you pay. Everything else you can change. So I would tell you to be very particular and not delude yourself when you're underwriting a property.
Yes.
Do the work on the numbers, come up with a reasonable rent estimate, come up with a reasonable bedroom count, figure out what the actual costs are going to be, pad everything, and if it works, great. But if it's close, razor thin, or if one thing goes the wrong way and you have no margin of safety, Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong will probably go wrong, especially if you're new at this. So you want to plan ahead from that so that you can be, weather whatever the storm is.
What's your percentage for padding?
It depends,
Okay.
It really, I think it's very subjective. I mean, there's a different level of padding for renovation. We're always adding 15%.
Okay.
This is what we think is going to cost. Great, add 15%. This is how long it's going to take. Great. Up that by
50%.
50%. Like, this is what we think the rent is going to be. Okay, maybe knock $100 off that. It's very subjective, but there has to be a margin of safety. Sort of investing 101 principle.
Yes. How about you? One thing.
Yeah, I don't know how much is actually overlaps what Mario said, but I found myself with my coaching clients, which is the people I feel the most, you feel like it's very indebted to serve, right? Because they're trusting you, is really reinforcing lately is criteria. So for instance, and it's really this padding question. So when a property is purchased, that the underwriting, if you say, like for instance, me, I want to make $1,000 net profit, even after reserves, also I'm not touching that property. And so padding everything, however you want to work it, is like determine your criteria, determine it slowly, and then it doesn't like never deviate from it. Doesn't mean that you can't later change your criteria, but if you go to a house, or you're like, crap, I just want to get a house in January, it needs to happen. Then you're stuck with a house that even when it's doing well, it's making less money than you want. So if you're going to get rich slow, you have the long-term view, not short-term, like Mario, Clara has been talking about, then decide your criteria. And just, it's nice because that helps you make decisions right in the moment. If it meets your criteria, awesome. If it doesn't, cool. Go find the one that does.
Yeah, exactly. Next. You gotta be very serious for long-term gain. There is no, I see many people make a lot of mistakes trying to get homes that just don't fit and don't make any money, and they just go because everybody told them to go, or a wholesaler was very pushy. Always remember, I say, no, think, and I want all my coaching clients and everybody that comes to my classes to sleep at night knowing that they can pay the mortgage. That's if you're really serious about that, first, thank you. This is like Christmas tree for me and for all of you. Thank you, everybody, for
these guys are the best.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. I hope to see you all tomorrow in your business. Thank you, Brian. I need to go see you in New Hampshire. I hope to see all of you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time in your Coliving Business Planning workshop with me in 2 hours. So click the link, grab your spot. I think only have like 20 spots available. So we can work with your markets and what are the numbers for your business so you are not overwhelmed. I think I can really wants to make a question. Well, okay, one question real quick.
No, my question was the first one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, my question was the first one for Mario, but you didn't ask it. It has something to do with three family houses and how many rooms you can cut out of a 3-family house. As far as how many rooms altogether. And I believe my question there also was how much generally per room does he charge in a place like Boston?
That depends on product.
Yeah, that's not really a question I can answer because it's so subjective. It depends on the building, the size, the layout, the floor plate, the neighborhood. It's kind of all over the place. I think you could probably get a sense of what rents are by looking at what a 1-bedroom apartment is in a particular neighborhood on average, and then maybe taking 35% off that number. But it also depends on the quality of what you're offering. Right. Very basic, not much renovated bedroom with a shared bathroom is going to get a lot less than a fully renovated private ensuite. So it's a pretty subjective question.
I can use call the Chore and come to my class, and I'll explain you how you can create a very nice product so you can look at the numbers. All right. Thank you, everybody. What? Yeah, no, go ahead.
How about how many rooms in a 3-family can you cut it? Like
that depends on the city and the code.
Yeah, and just to say real specifically, because Mario is actually not. They're giving you a really good answer. Yeah. Because say you put 10 rooms in that, but you can't fill any of them, then it's way worse than 3 rooms that are full. Yeah. And that depends on then location, layout, and regulation, all of these things.
It's not a simple answer. Yeah. It's very complicated.
Yeah. Just take 50 minutes with me, come to my class, come to my coaching.
Clara will teach you how to do it.
Yeah. Just click the link. I'll see you in the business planning tomorrow. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, supporting team. Thank you, my dear students that are here. Juliana, I love to see you. She's a new student from Nashville. Nashville is going to grow one of the best markets in 2026.
And 3 cheers for
Yeah.
Clara. This is such a great program. you
20,
host.
yeah, we started with 36 people, now we're 26. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Nice
Adios.
to meet you all.
Metallica. Bye.